Handgun people! This is a cop show up to the wrong house and get shot and then end up shooting and killing the guy. I'm kind of, I don't know, I guess I'm okay with this one. I think the cops did pretty much okay. The guy was born, he just gave the guy's date of birth. So let's listen to this sheriff. This sheriff here seems pretty sharp. I mean, he seems kind of like a no-nonsense. Maybe he's a little anal retentive in some areas. He seems a little too, you know, but he seems like he's not faking the tactical lingo. It seems like he's probably been in some tactics in his life and he's done some things. It's not like he's a political appointee. He's actually, my guess is he was a deputy and he was a tactics guy. So he gives a pretty good briefing. Here we go.
The incident began at the Livering House, Livering.
This is the suspect.
His birth date is March 25th of 1950.
So he's 70 years old.
When we received a call from complainant, who was his wife, saying that he was acting erratic.
Okay, so the wife called the police, and the police kill her husband. Man, who could have predicted that? I'm telling you, man, women are learning that they have an armed force ready to come kill somebody that pisses them off by just calling and saying things. But we don't know what she said. Maybe we do. I don't know. I haven't watched the whole video. I just kind of watched enough to see that I'm going to do a video.
That she had concerns, that he had expressed things that led her to believe that he could possibly harm himself or others.
So I would like to know what these concerns were and what she said. Obviously, she was right, because I think a guy comes out with a gun. But he didn't say what the wife said or why she believed that. Or whether, maybe we will find out if the wife's even living there or separated or whatever. But
I want to set the stage a little bit for you, because as you watch this, you're going to see that dynamically there are some challenges. When our 4 deputies responded to the location, the information that they had received led them to believe that the house in question was actually adjacent next door to.
Okay, right here he's kind of covering up because the cops go to the wrong house and the suspect shoots at him from his house, and that's the only reason they know which house he's in, because they don't have a good address, because the wife called from her cell phone in front of the house. And another side point here, dude, can you get a bigger bandage on that finger? And why the hell are you carrying a gun if your finger is taped up that freaking big? You can't get that finger in that trigger. If somebody shoots you, if somebody's got an injury like this, he better go to the range and start practicing to use his second trigger finger. Now, you can shoot with your middle, FU finger if you want to. And I've seen guys do that for a while. I think it was people were like trying to teach it as it's better. And you put 2 fingers on a slide, and if you use your middle finger, you get a better grip. And everybody's always trying to change something, come up with something new. But I would like to know if he went to the range after this finger, because I'm pretty sure this finger ain't getting in that trigger well. But I could be wrong. Anyway, that's a side note. Big old bozo finger here, that big old bandage. Anyway, let's
to the actual house where Mr. Livering House was. The reason that occurred is because his wife called from her car. So when they respond and they first make contact, they attempt to secure the house that they believe is the house where Mr. Livering House is present.
Which turns out to be the wrong house. He's at the house behind him.
But what you will see is one of our deputies, as he's taking a position, there's a home behind him with basically a plate glass window that is covered. You will hear a gunshot. It is Mr. Livering House inside the home, shooting out the window directly behind our deputy, within maybe 10 feet of where he was.
And the suspect missed him, which is totally surprising, which tells me he probably didn't want to shoot him. I mean, even when this guy comes out toward them, it's almost like he doesn't want to kill anybody. He just wants them to kill him.
When the deputies realize that they are in front of the bad guy's house as they're trying to secure the one next door, they immediately retreat. And upon retreating, they're going to recover. A few are going to recover their long rifles. Others are going to take tactical positions. And they initiate an effort to make contact with Mr. Livering House in person. But prior to that, they were actually trying to negotiate contact with him through his wife to see if they could talk him down and have him come out unarmed in a safe capacity so they could work with him.
Using the wife to try and calm somebody down is normally never a good idea. But That's just me. I know there'll be somebody here. Rick, women are much better at talking and they can do it. You just don't love whatever.
After they take their tactical positions, you'll see Mr. Liveringhouse come out of his home with 2 firearms in his hands, 2 handguns, one extended, one back. Our deputies are in 2 different
And I don't think he ever fires a round when he comes out, if I remember correctly.
positions, one to the side and one directly across the street. And what he does is he immediately advances and continues to advance at our deputy, pointing both guns. This leads to the response, which was deploying deadly force. Mr. Livering will be shot in the middle of the street as he advances on our deputy, at which time our deputies immediately begin to try to deliver first aid to see if they can save his life. But as I stated, it is a tragedy, the loss of life at any circumstance at any time. So I will go ahead and have them roll the video. You are going to see 2 cameras, 2 body-worn cameras running simultaneous with a line in between the 2. So you're getting 2 perspectives, one from straight across the street and one from our deputies to the side. That will help.
Okay, that sets it up. Let's get to the video. Okay, here we go.
Have him step out.
There you go.
Last right there.
Yep.
Head mark. It's 5647, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so they're here. They think it's this house, and it's actually a house right here that they just passed.
Is it 5647, correct?
It's called the old shit run or the tactical retreat.
Stop! Stop!
Good thing that dude yelled stop. They'd still be running while I was doing this video. Deputies last seen running eastbound have not been found. Rick, you don't know. Whatever.
124. We just had somebody shoot us.
Okay, normally, remember, handguns are defensive. They're for immediate action to get somebody off you. They're not for hunting and going out after armed people. You never chase down armed people with a handgun. You normally want to use a long rifle because you get better range, more power, more stopping power, longer distance, all kind of good advantages to a long gun. Except it's cumbersome and it's long and it's a pain in the butt, so you don't carry it all the time. You carry a defensive pistol. Your pistol is to fight your way to your rifle, so you can get the advantage. These guys should be immediately going for long rifles, which I think they do.
124 negative. We're code 4 outside. Somebody took a shot at us as we were by the house. You can let 120 know when something's
I just noticed this guy went from strong hand to weak hand. He is right-handed. He's got a one-handed grip. And he puts his gun to his left hand and takes a weak one-handed grip. Not real great. I don't know why he did that. I'd like to ask him why. If you got a tree, why not stay strong hand on this side of the tree? For some reason, he wanted this angle, and instead of keeping the strong hand, he wanted a weak hand, so I guess he could use the tree for more cover. Not accuracy-wise, most people are nowhere near as good with their weak hand. You can do it, and you should practice it, but very, very few people are good with both hands.
We're negative. We're code 4 outside. Somebody took a shot at us as we were by the house.
This guy said we're code 4. Code 4 means no further assistance needed. Basically, when he said we're code 4 outside, that means we didn't get shot and we're okay. But then he gives the updates, which says we're not code 4. We need more units. We just took rounds.
You can let 120 know when something's
Going to long guns. Good move.
49, not 47.
Station is 45 for the traffic on Dodge.
I didn't hear him rack around. I wonder if he carries one with a round in the chamber to where he doesn't have to rack. Oh, maybe that was the rack right there. Maybe he just racked there.
I don't know, maybe.
Was that gun on safe or fire? I couldn't tell. Still on safe, so he hasn't put it on fire yet. Remember? Horizontal is safe, vertical is fire. That's for the people who aren't as familiar. I know most tactical guys and gun guys know that, but I've got some people that don't know that.
I don't know, maybe. I didn't see it. All right. So, I'm going there. Put your hands up! Put your hands up! Put your hands up! Put your hands up!
So we got one guy with a pistol. It looks like we have 3 people with rifles. One guy went across the street. Here's your suspect with 2 guns. Here's your suspect with 2 guns. These are what the officers are seeing.
Hands up! Put your hands up!
He's pointing the guns at officers. Deadly force is clearly authorized right here. They could have shot him as soon as he come out. He's got guns. You do not have to wait for him to shoot. The Supreme Court has ruled you don't have to wait for somebody to shoot at you. And they could have clearly shot him and filled him full of holes. So good job for them to try. Even though he's got guns pointed, he's clearly a threat. They've got superior numbers. This is totality of circumstances. They have superior numbers. They have superior firepower. Other people will say, this guy already shot at a cop. Screw that. They should have lit him up. I'm on the side of these cops by waiting. Let's try not to use it. If we don't, let's try to challenge. Remember, I don't think the guy ever fires another shot at these cops. These guns may not be loaded. They may be loaded. If you want to shoot somebody with an unloaded gun and play hero and talk about, I was justified, I had, by law, he had a gun, he was a threat, I was in fear of my life, I had to protect the life of my other officers and other people, and I fired my gun. If you want to be that guy, then be that guy, whatever. I'm not going to here to argue with you and come here for you to try and, you know, pull out your freaking penis and have a dick measuring contest because you think they should have shot, and I'm being a pussy because I'm saying I agree with them for waiting. Whatever. I agree with them for waiting.
Put your hands up! Put your hands up! Sometimes out here with 2 hands up.
He obviously wants to be shot by the cops. He's not listening to them, and he's pointing a gun at them. Are they taking an unnecessary risk? Some would say yes. Is it more of a risk than they need to take? Yes. They could shoot this guy. He's got a gun pointed at him. They could clearly shoot him. But from a jury or from a charging standpoint or from a mental standpoint later, dude, man, I waited as long as I was comfortable waiting. I tried to give the guy a chance. They're going to be able to deal with this shooting better and more effectively and not have guilt and not have to deal with second guessing and go to the bottle and start drinking because they know they're a piece of shit and they shot some dude thinking it was cool at the time and later they figure out it was a dick move. And right as I say that, somebody decides to shoot. Was it a good shooting? Yes. Did he have to fire multiple rounds? I don't know. Just because you decide to shoot doesn't mean you have to fire multiple rounds. But Rick, you've said if one round doesn't stop, and normally you should always shoot till the threat stops. Look, they teach you to shoot till the threat stops, but there's nothing that says I have to shoot multiple rounds. I can shoot 1 round and evaluate. And I can shoot 2 rounds and evaluate. And I can shoot 1 round and evaluate, and then if you move, I can shoot another round and evaluate. I do not have to rapid fire and mag dump unless that's the only thing I know. And I'm so freaking stupid that I can't think. I think 1 round would have been sufficient and then evaluate. This guy has not fired at them, and he's clearly wanting them to shoot them. And I don't want to shoot somebody that's really not a threat. He's just trying to play a threat to get me to shoot him. But other people will say, I don't want to guess what's in his mind. If he wants me to shoot him and he points a gun at me, then I'm going to oblige him. And in some cases, that would be my stance. In this case, he shot through the window when he clearly had the guy behind him and he didn't hit him. And then he came outside and pointed 2 guns and ignored and did not shoot at anybody. So I'm not even sure his guns are loaded. I don't know if I would have shot at this point. This guy, I think over here is the one that shot because of the way the guy falls. I could be wrong.
Sometimes out here with 2 handguns.
So, who shot? I don't know whether this guy shot or this guy shot. Or there's two other guys on the other side of the car with this guy. So maybe one of them shot. Is it justified? Of course it's going to be justified. It was justified as soon as he come out. So I think 4 rounds were fired. Was that necessary? I mean, look. Me personally, I don't think it was. I don't think it was needed. Is it wrong? You know, it's subjective.
124-998. One down, start medical.
Good job, wife. You called the police to come help. They came and helped. Now, I know somebody's going to say it's not the wife's fault. He's the one that went out and did it. Look, I'm not saying that. I'm saying if you call the cops to somebody to help, the odds are it's not. This dude runs up. He's got the long gun on him. Guy's on the ground. He's kicking the guns away.
Where's the other one? Right there. Okay. I got lethal. Okay.
Lots of cops around, circling the wagons. If they have to shoot, I'm thinking there's some crossfire here.
Right there. Okay.
So we got an officer here. We got an officer here.
I got lethal. Okay.
We got an officer here. We got this circle wagging effect. Not good tactics.
First aid, go!
Okay, these guys secure him. They've got lethal. They've kicked the guns away, and now they start first aid. Good job. I mean, overall, I think these cops did a lot more good than they did bad, and even the things they did bad is subjective on my part, just my personal belief.
Go get first aid! Okay. Go inside! Go back inside now! Stay with me!
So now they're yelling at the public to go back inside. Look, you don't have to go back inside your house. Okay? Now, if you start walking out and distracting them, then maybe an officer is going to come over and cuff you and say you're distracting from that. But if you're standing at your door and they yell, you go back inside, you don't have to go out. You can record them inside. I mean, what's the difference if you're inside looking out a window or standing in your front door looking out? Are you any safer? No. Just cops have this thing about controlling areas, and it's, get inside, don't come out, don't look out the window, don't, get away from me, I don't want to deal with anybody but what I'm dealing with. All right, whatever.
Traffic for District 1 for 998 and District 1 for 998.
Stay with me!
Okay, I don't remember if the guy died or not. I don't know if it says it here. Shooting, okay. I was just going to zoom ahead and kind of see what they said or whether the guy and this sheriff just made me bust up laughing. Here, let me see if you guys find it funny too.
Just to give clarity, so the red vehicle that you saw pull away in the early stages is actually our complainant, the widow.
That correct? Rick, you should be like, he called her the complainant and then he called her the widow. I mean, to me, that just, Rick, you're just cruel. I'm sorry. I just found that funny. Hang on, let me find out if this guy lived or not. Oh, evidently that's as far as I need to go. Obviously, the guy died. She's a widow. So he gave away the ending. This is an hour-long press conference. If you want to go to ABC Arizona and you want to watch this, you're more than welcome. Okay, I think he says the number of rounds that the officers fired.
A total of 5 rounds fired her out of harm's way immediately. There were a total of 5 rounds fired by our deputies. 2 deputies fired 5 rounds total. There were 4 strikes. For all other rounds.
Okay, so if there's 4 strikes, that means 1 round missed. Did they need 5 rounds? If there's 2 deputies that fired, one probably fired 3, the other fired 2, maybe one fired 4 and one fired 1. If you have trouble keeping up those numbers, go to Sesame Street. The Count Dracula will help you with the numbers. There was 5 rounds between 2 officers and 1 missed. Maybe the 1 miss was 1 officer, and the other guy fired 4 and hit all of them.
Or excuse me, of 2 handguns as they came out. One was a 9mm that was fully loaded with 1 in the chamber.
So one was a 9mm with a round in the chamber?
The other one was a handgun, I believe it was a .22 caliber that was unloaded.
The other gun was unloaded. Okay, so they did a search warrant, and somehow the sheriff wants to make this guy look like he's really crazy. He said there was hundreds of rounds of ammunitions, and several other firearms. The guy had a Black Hawk, nice gun, 44 mag. He had a 410, which is just about, you know, a good little hunting gun. It's not. He had a 22 long rifle. Everybody that owns guns has a 22 long rifle. He had a Rossi 44 lever action, nice little handgun. So he had a 44 mag lever action. So both guns could use the same ammo. That's normal. He had a 22 long rifle and a 270 rifle. 270 is a long range rifle. If he wanted to really do damage on these cops, he should have pulled out his 270 and he could have took all these cops out from inside his house, and it would have went through their vest and messed them up. Most vests are not going to stop that round. And then they said he had hundreds of round ammunition. He had 4,000 rounds of 22 long. I mean, that's, you buy 22 ammo in a 500 box. So every 2 boxes is 1,000 rounds. So he had 8 boxes of 22, probably because he didn't want to get caught and run out of ammo. He had 155 rounds of 9mm. 9mm comes in 50 round boxes. So he had 3 boxes of 9mm. That's not excessive or crazy. He had 400 rounds of that, 4 or 5 boxes. He had 84 rounds 357. Hell, I don't know if he had a 357. Didn't even show he had a 357 gun. 44 mag, he had 4 boxes, 270. They come, your rifle rounds usually come 20 to a box. So if he had 120, he had what, 5, 6 boxes of that? 410, he had 84 rounds, 12 gauge, he had 110 rounds. 12 gauge, 410 usually come in 25 round boxes. So he had 4 or 5 boxes of those. Big, I mean, the sheriff made it sound like he had a lot of ammo.
Cover home, and I don't know if, G, if you can put that slide up for me. There were hundreds of rounds of ammunition.
Hundreds of rounds. Wow, this guy's a crazy hundreds of rounds. I guarantee you any cop worth his salt has a whole hell of a lot more than what this guy had.
And several other firearms that were recovered from inside the home. There was no one else inside the home at the conclusion of the event. We had 2 witnesses in the immediate area who saw the entire.
Sounds like this guy just wigged out because of what his wife did. I mean, because she called the cops. I mean, whatever. So for some reason, this guy has no history of. I was expecting when they probably had more history, domestic violence. Sheriff says there's no history.
Some things personally or psychologically, but we did not have a history that gave us any indication, and we do not know of any events that happened in the recent history that would have caused him to behave in this manner. But unequivocally, this is one of those circumstances where someone makes a choice that they're going to confront deputies or law enforcement with intentions to force our hand.
Okay, classic suicide by cop because the wife called the cops. All right, we'll end that there.